When a man chooses silence over expression, it is often mistaken for strength. The world has taught him that words are weakness, that emotions make him less of a man, and that vulnerability is something to be ashamed of. But what if I told you that silence is not strength, it is fear in disguise? It is the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of appearing fragile, and the fear of being truly seen. Behind every cold reply, behind every unread message, there is a heart that is trying to protect itself. A man may look calm on the outside, but inside, he is fighting a storm of emotions he cannot name. Silence is his armor, but even armor becomes heavy when carried for too long. And sometimes that silence says more than words ever could. Men are often told from childhood to hold their tears, to never show pain, to never say, "I am hurting." They grow up learning that strength means not feeling. But how can you heal from something you never allow yourself to feel? When a man ignores you, it is not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it's because he is running away from emotions that scare him. The truth is, men fear vulnerability more than rejection. They fear being seen as weak, and so they choose silence over sincerity. But that silence, instead of protecting them, becomes their prison. It disconnects them from people who care and isolates them behind walls that love cannot enter. And what they call strength slowly becomes loneliness dressed in pride. You see, ignoring someone does not mean indifference. It often means confusion. A man who ignores is often a man who feels too much, but doesn't know how to handle it. His silence is not the absence of feelings, but the overflow of them. He hides behind quietness because expressing himself might reveal the chaos within. And yet, in trying to appear strong, he loses the chance to be real. Real strength is not in silence, but in honesty. It is in saying, "I am unsure, I need time," or even, "I care." But men are rarely given the space to speak such truths. So they suppress, they distance, and they disappear, believing it's safer to hide than to heal. And that is the silent tragedy of many hearts that never learn to speak. When a man ignores you, he is often not rejecting you. He is rejecting his own feelings. He feels something he cannot control, so he runs from it. He distances himself not because you are too much, but because your presence awakens something he has buried for too long. Maybe it's the memory of past pain. Maybe it's the fear of commitment. Or maybe it's the fear of losing control. Men are taught to conquer everything: careers, goals, challenges, but never emotions. So when they feel deeply, they panic. They think silence is safety, but silence only deepens the wound. It's like placing a bandage over a broken bone and pretending it's healed. The more they hide, the more they hurt, and the more misunderstood they become. There is a hidden vulnerability in every act of ignoring. The eyes that look away are often the ones that once looked with meaning. The hands that stop texting are the same hands that once couldn't stop reaching out. The silence that now feels cold once carried warmth. But when fear enters, love takes a step back. And that fear isn't about you. It's about them. It's about the stories they never told, the heartbreaks they never healed, the tears they never allowed to fall. Silence becomes their way of saying what they cannot explain. But silence cannot hide truth forever, because truth always finds a way to echo through the spaces between words. And one day, they realize that in trying not to feel, they lost the chance to be felt. A man's silence is not always about pride. It is often about protection. Protection from emotions he cannot handle. Protection from expectations he cannot meet. And protection from the version of himself he doesn't yet understand. When he ignores you, He might be trying to protect you from the chaos he carries. But what he doesn't realize is that in protecting you, he is hurting both of you. Love does not need protection, it needs presence. And silence creates distance where closeness once lived. The fear of being seen becomes stronger than the desire to connect. And slowly, that fear takes over. But silence never heals what honesty could have mended in a single conversation. We must understand that silence is a language too, a language of pain, fear, and suppression. It tells a story that words fail to express. When a man ignores you, he is speaking in that silent language. He is saying, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to feel this. I don't know how to face this. But society has not taught men the vocabulary of emotion. It has only given them the script of strength. And so they follow it, even when it breaks them. The truth is, no one is strong all the time. Even the strongest hearts tremble when love feels too real. And the man who ignores, you might just be trembling behind his silence. There is a kind of sadness that comes with pretending not to care. It's a quiet ache that grows in the spaces between messages not sent and words not spoken. When men ignore, they lose not only the person they care about, but also parts of themselves. Every time they choose silence, they choose distance from truth. They silence their hearts until even they can no longer hear them. And yet, the human heart has a way of remembering what the mind tries to forget. The truth always lingers. It lives in memories, in dreams, in sudden thoughts that refuse to fade. Ignoring may delay the truth, but it can never destroy it. So the next time a man ignores you, don't just see arrogance. See fear. See the struggle of a soul that was never taught how to be soft. See the weight of unspoken emotions, hiding behind calm eyes. Silence is not strength, silence is a wound covered with pride. And maybe, just maybe, that man is waiting for a world that allows him to speak without judgment. Because until he learns that strength is not in hiding feelings, but in facing them, he will keep mistaking silence for power. And the truth he hides will keep echoing in the quiet, begging to be understood, begging to be set free. When someone ignores you, it feels like being erased while still standing there. You begin to question your worth, your words, and even your existence in their world. But the truth is, ignoring someone does not erase the bond. It reveals it. It shows what they're running from, what they can't confront, and what they still feel, but cannot handle. Silence often hides emotions too deep to be spoken aloud. When a man chooses to ignore, it is rarely because he doesn't care. It's because he cares too much and doesn't know how to process it. The more he tries to appear indifferent, the more his silence betrays him. Because the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And true indifference never trembles the way his silence does. His quietness is not emptiness, it's overflow. Every ignored message carries a story untold, a battle unspoken, and a heart pretending it has moved on. You might see him walk away, but what you don't see are the moments when he replays the past in his mind. Ignoring someone is not a clean break. It's a silent war between heart and ego. The ego says, don't reach out. But the heart whispers, I still care. In that conflict, he chooses distance, thinking it will protect him. But distance does not protect, it punishes. It punishes both hearts equally. The one who waits for a message that never comes, and the one who wants to send it, but doesn't. And though silence may seem peaceful, inside, it screams. Because emotions buried alive never die quietly. They echo through the spaces of his soul. The truth men hide when they ignore you is that they still feel the pull. They feel it in every quiet night, in every familiar song, in every place where your memory lingers. Ignoring becomes their way of pretending control, but it's a fragile control built on denial. They tell themselves that silence means strength, but deep down, silence burns. It burns with regret, with longing, with the ache of unspoken words. When a man ignores, he doesn't erase feelings. He amplifies them in the silence of his own heart. Every unread message is a reminder of what he is trying to forget but can't. And while he thinks ignoring you sets him free, it only ties him tighter to the emotions he's trying to escape. Love never disappears just because communication stops. In fact, silence often amplifies it. The more he tries to act like you don't matter, the more he proves that you do. Because if you truly didn't matter, there would be no need to ignore. You would simply not exist in his thoughts. But you do. That's why he avoids. That's why he disappears. Ignoring someone is an act of emotional defense, not detachment. It's a fragile attempt to convince the heart that it no longer feels. But feelings are not switches to be turned off. They are tides that return no matter how many times you push them away. And in those moments of solitude, when his pride quiets down, the truth always finds its way back. Silence may hide it for a while, but it cannot bury it forever. Many people think ignoring someone gives them control over their emotions, but the opposite is true. When you ignore, you become a prisoner of the very feelings you are avoiding. The connection doesn't vanish. It lingers in every heartbeat, in every memory, in every what if that crosses your mind. You can delete messages, block numbers, and avoid eye contact, but you cannot unfeel what once felt real. And that is the hidden truth. Ignoring is not a sign of moving on, but of still holding on in silence. It is love disguised as distance, fear wearing the mask of strength. The more he tries to stay away, the more the heart resists, whispering, "You can run, but you cannot hide from what's inside." Because love doesn't end in silence. It waits there, aching to be acknowledged. Silence can be the loudest confession of all. It speaks in the pauses between words, in the hesitation before responding, in the moments when he chooses not to speak because every word would reveal too much. The bond between two people does not vanish when one person withdraws. It stretches, it bends, but it remains. Ignoring someone is like holding your breath underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually, the truth demands air. And when it does, all the feelings that were buried rise to the surface with twice the force. That's why, often, when people return after ignoring, they return with intensity. Because the truth, no matter how deeply hidden, never loses its strength. It only gathers it in silence. Sometimes a man ignores because he doesn't know how to confront the reflection you hold up to him. You remind him of who he was, of who he could be, and of what he fears to feel. You become a mirror to his truth, and not everyone is ready to face their truth. So instead of dealing with the discomfort, he runs from it. But the irony is that in running from you, he runs straight into himself. Every silence becomes a moment of self-confrontation, every ignored message a mirror of his own avoidance. And though he may seem distant, inside, he is unraveling, piece by piece, realizing that what he's hiding from is not you, but the emotions you awakened in him. That realization doesn't come easy, but it always comes eventually. Ignoring someone does not dissolve the emotional connection. It only exposes its depth. If there was nothing real, there would be nothing to ignore. The very act of avoiding shows the existence of something powerful enough to trigger fear. When he looks away, it's not because there's no feeling. It's because there's too much. People don't ignore what they don't care about. They ignore what they can't control. And so his silence becomes the confession he never makes out loud. It's his way of saying, I feel something I'm not ready to face. And while he hides behind that silence, you must understand that his avoidance is not your rejection. It's his reflection, a reflection of his own unfinished healing. The silence between two hearts that once connected is never truly empty. It hums with energy, with memory, with the echoes of what once was. When a man ignores you, he may try to silence that hum, but it lives on. Because real bonds don't vanish with distance or fade with time. They change shape, they grow quiet, but they remain. Ignoring someone may seem like the end of a story, but often it is just a pause. A space where pride speaks louder than love, until love finds the courage to speak again. The truth men hide when they ignore you is that they still care. They still feel, and they still remember. Only now, they are learning how to face what silence could never heal. When someone ignores you, it feels like your worth has been stolen, like your presence has suddenly become invisible to the world. You start questioning yourself, your value, your words, your love, your place in their life. But the truth is, your worth is not defined by who sees it or who overlooks it. It is not shaped by the silence of another person, but by the strength you find within yourself. When that silence echoes too loud, you are not broken because someone walked away. You are awakening to your own power. When people ignore you, life is not punishing you. It is redirecting you. Sometimes, the ones who overlook you are just mirrors showing you where you've forgotten to look at yourself. Their silence becomes the doorway through which you discover your voice again. You are not meant to beg for attention, to feel valuable. The love that demands you to chase, it is not love. It is dependency disguised as affection. When someone ignores you, you are being invited to remember that validation is not oxygen and approval is not food. You can breathe without their attention, and you can grow without their presence. The moment you stop waiting for them to see your worth, you begin to live in your own light. And in that light, you realize that being ignored doesn't diminish your value. It defines your boundaries. Because sometimes, being unseen by others is the very space where you begin to finally see yourself clearly. That clarity is where your power begins to rise. It is painful to be ignored by someone you love, but pain is a strange teacher. It introduces you to yourself. You learn what hurts, but also what heals. You learn that self-respect is louder than unanswered calls and kinder than forced conversations. You learn that silence can be a lesson, not a punishment. And when the ache of being ignored starts to fade, you find something more beautiful beneath its self-worth. You begin to understand that love is not proven by chasing someone who turns away, but by standing tall enough to walk alone. Every time you choose dignity over desperation, the universe whispers, "This is how you rise." And rising becomes your quiet form of healing. People often mistake silence for rejection, but sometimes silence is direction. It pushes you back toward the path you were always meant to walk. When you stop trying to make someone see your value, you make room for those who already do. You cannot heal in spaces that make you feel invisible. You cannot grow in hearts that do not hold space for you. Ignoring is not your cue to shrink. It is your sign to expand into your own life, your dreams, your peace. Because the truth is, no one can ignore the kind of person who has learned to be at peace with their own company. Once you start glowing from within, no silence can make you feel small again. When someone ignores you, it's easy to believe you weren't enough. But that belief is a lie. You were never lacking. they were never looking deep enough. People often overlook what they don't understand, and they step away from what they aren't ready to handle. So don't let their silence define your reflection. You are not what they failed to see. You are everything they couldn't face. Their inability to value you is not a reflection of your weakness, but of their blindness. Sometimes, you have to lose people to find yourself. You have to be unseen to realize how brightly you can shine on your own. That realization is the beginning of emotional freedom, the kind that no rejection can ever take away. There is strength in being ignored if you choose to see it that way. It teaches you how to stand on your own, how to nurture your heart without needing applause. It reminds you that your peace does not depend on someone else's attention span. Every unanswered message, every quiet goodbye becomes a lesson in emotional independence. You start to see that love isn't about being chosen. It's about choosing yourself even when others don't. And when you learn to fill your own silence with purpose, you no longer fear being alone. You start to see that solitude is not emptiness. It is empowerment. It is the space where your spirit learns how to breathe again. When you stop waiting for someone to notice you, you begin noticing yourself. You start rediscovering the parts of you that were hidden behind your longing for validation. The hobbies you abandoned, the laughter you silenced, the dreams you postponed. They all return when you return to yourself. Being ignored hurts, but it also awakens you. It shows you that you are not powerless without their attention. You were always whole, but you needed silence to remember that. And once you remember, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing love that doesn't choose you and start attracting love that recognizes you. Because when you love yourself loudly, you no longer fit into quiet spaces of neglect. It's easy to let someone's silence make you feel small, but you must remember that your value is not up for debate. It doesn't rise and fall with someone's attention. The truth men hide when they ignore you is that they never took your light away. You just stop seeing it for a moment. But light never disappears. It only waits to be reignited. And when you find your own spark again, you realize that their silence was never your ending. It was your beginning. The beginning of self, respect, of clarity, of peace that doesn't depend on anyone else's presence. You stop waiting for closure from others because you learn to create closure within yourself. Every time someone ignores you, life gives you two choices, to chase or to choose yourself. When you chase, you lose power. When you choose yourself, you gain peace. You realize that attention is temporary, but self-worth is eternal. You understand that being ignored does not mean being forgotten. It often means you are being protected from something smaller than what you deserve. And once you reach that understanding, you stop seeing silence as a wound and start seeing it as a filter that removes the people who cannot meet you at your depth. Because in the end, the ones who truly see you will never make you question your worth. They will remind you of it, even in silence.